What do horror movies and child beauty pageants have in common? Either it's so terrible that you walk out in shame, or that it's so hilariously funny that you just stay there and laugh until your lungs are deflated. If you've been watching me for quite some time, you know that I'm a sucker, and not only a sucker, a deranged, mentally unevaluated idiot when it comes to stuff that can scare me out of my undies, because that's just the type of stuff I like. But sometimes I don't want to play horror games, you know? Sometimes you just want to sit down, lay back and relax, and not be in the scenario where you control the person who's in a crazy situation, you know? But horror games are the competitor against horror movies. Horror games have to be the best network of horror we have nowadays, and that's not up for debate. These games are the absolute best thing to have if you want to fill your throws with scares. And over the years, the movies that try to join in on the scary train nowadays, they suck. They really, really suck. You guys might have heard that The Nun 2 is coming out. If you haven't, I don't really blame you. Because one, it's not talked about much from what I can tell at least. I don't know if I need to open my ears or have a Kowalski analysis on my side right now, but I haven't heard anyone talk about it. And the reason why I think this is a sort of, kind of bad idea is because when I watched the trailer, I can see some of the characters that were from the first movie. And let me tell you, the first Nun movie is the definition of mid. The thing is that the Nun character, like the actual demon, is one of the most creepy, damn horrific things I've ever seen in a horror movie. So that's not the issue. It's just the damn people. Because these characters are the epitome of boring. I just wish they can make it like The Conjuring 2 and put the nun, like the actual nun, in the haunted house, like how they did in The Conjuring 2. Because seeing the nun in the normal house is far more creepy and unsettling than seeing her in a dungeon. But with that said, I just hope The Nun 2 is a good horror movie because my faith in horror movies is going down faster than the reverse Flash chasing Flash. But the best kind of horror movies are like the ones that make you really uncomfortable and unsettled, not the ones that have characters start off the movie looking normal and then by the end of the movie they look like Voldemort. And that brings up the next topic, gore. Gore has to be one of the most overrated, stupid, and brain dead ways to try to scare the audience. I don't need to see someone getting their head twisted backwards and spine crumbled so that they can see their torso fall backwards and go face first into their booty hole just to get scared. And even if I see that, it doesn't scare me at all. I doubt it scares anyone else. And I'm only mentioning that because I watched Evil Dead Rise when it first came out, and it wasn't the worst movie I've watched. It was kind of good, but it's just a prime example of using gore to try to scare the audience. And yes, I'm aware that the Evil Dead series, they just use gore. That's literally like their main thing. Use gore to scare the audience. But it doesn't work, okay? When you try to scare your audience, it just works best when you have a good atmosphere, a good build-up, and a jump scare that isn't stupid. You don't even need a jump scare. Just have something creepy there. Let me list off some movies that actually do this right. Hereditary, one of the most disturbing movies out there. The Conjuring, based on a true story. It tells the story of the Perron family and their terrifying haunting back in 19-something, I don't know what. And yes, it's actually true. Because I toured the real house where the events took place last year, and I did have paranormal encounters. If you want me to talk about that in a separate video, let me know. Creep. I actually just watched this very recently, and it really exceeded my expectations. This movie makes you really uncomfortable. It's good. Slender Man. I'm just kidding. This movie's trash. Okay, now you might be thinking, the movies I just listed are nothing new. They're pretty known and popular. Well, guess what? That's exactly why they're popular, you doofus. These movies are popular because they do it right. They know how to do. They know how to scare. They know how to do. They know how to boo. They know how to do their thing. The only movies I've watched recently that came out that actually like do the scares right are like Barbarian, Smile. Those are pretty good movies. If you guys haven't seen either, I actually recommend them because they're good, and take my word for it, because I'm just as bored of horror movies nowadays as watching a snail try to go to point A to point B. Like, if I could direct my own horror movie, I would make it the most creepy flip lick tick flick you would ever see in your life. I'd give it the atmosphere of The Conjuring, the build-up of Hereditary, and the scares of Sinister. Mark my words. And I was thinking about something else when I was talking about Evil Dead just now. I don't know if this is a bold claim or hot take, but I'm just gonna say it. Slashers have to be one of the most boredom-inducing forms of media I've ever seen or consumed into my brain in my entire life. Because at least, well, to me, they're one of the most predictable movies out there. Every slasher I've watched, I could read into the future of them as good as reading The Old Lady Who Swallowed a Fly in 30 seconds. It's that simple. Let me just give you a rundown of all of them, or at least a majority of them, of how they go. You get introduced to a bunch of characters in the first like 20, 30 minutes. All of them die. I mean it. All of them die. Only 3 or less people will live by the end. Everyone else is dead. That's been in the situation of all the Friday the 13th movies, all Halloween movies, all Nightmare on Elm Street movies, all blah 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 blah. Now I haven't seen every single one of those movies in any of those franchises. I've only watched a couple, but I'm more than 100% that even the ones I haven't seen, the same situation happens. And I'm willing to bet money on that too. You can go watch Dead Meat if anything. Go watch Dead Meat and see how many people are alive by the end in the kill count. And I don't care how creative the kills are, it just doesn't make how boring and predictable the movies are. Well, at least to me. And if I offend anyone that loves slashers, then suck it up because it's my opinion, okay? I'm sorry. Yeah, so moral of the story. This is my message to directors. Scare me. Scare me good. Scare me hard. Scare me like you would want to see my face in ways you'd always want to see me in that way again. And make sure it's effective. Make sure it's good. Honestly, I don't even know what this video is. You know, okay, bye-bye.